Oh, you're fine. I'm dark.
You're
but
good. Okay. You're good. All right. I got. I think I've got enough.
Somebody took my light from my office. I don't know where it is.
All right. Now we are ready, and we're live on YouTube. So we're ready to go.
Hello, YouTube.
All right. Here we go. 3 and 2 and 1. Hold on a second. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool. And Jonathan, between the two of us, me being in Austin, you're in Knoxville, kind of not halfway for sure, but closer to you. We've got a guest coming to us from, I guess, right outside of Nashville or in Nashville. Is that, how do you consider where you live, Piers?
Just south of Nashville.
Okay. All right.
Close to Franklin, Tennessee. A lot of people know where Franklin is.
Beautiful area. Beautiful area. Glad to have you, Pierce. Got to give you some our first time guest applause there.
There you go.
So Pierce and I go back. Pierce joined me many years back on the Beginner Internet Business podcast when he was just starting out his Shark Tank show podcast, fan podcast, and we were discussing that. That was such a good episode. That was a lot of fun. Today he's going to be joining us to talk about his new book and some of the work that he's doing. So today we're going to be discussing his new book called "Could You Survive Shark Tank?" And it is the bum bum bum. Yeah, exactly.
Sounds very sounds like a big task.
7 questions every entrepreneur must answer. So these are lessons that we'll be discussing from his book. Some of the things that some takeaways. As I mentioned, Pierce has been on my show before. He, just to give you a little background, he is responsible for over $250 million in sales, has owned several small businesses, has published a widely read blog, The Sales Moment, since 2010, has served as the host and producer, as I mentioned, of the Shark Tank fan podcast since 2011. He's also a certified DISC personality profile and coach certified by best-selling author and renowned coach Dan Miller, who he and I are both big fans of, love Dan's stuff. And he speaks on a number of topics, including sharing enthusiasm, DISC profiling, sales, communication. And he's also asked to do voiceovers. This guy's got a set of pipes that you wouldn't believe, obviously. And I was just, it's funny because I was just going through this past week, I was going through a master class by Chris Voss on negotiation. And so one of the modules when I was going through this, his master class is just on voice inflection, you know, how you're in a negotiation setting and you can deepen your voice inflection when you're getting really serious. And I actually thought of you, Pierce. I was like, dude, that guy, I know he's a closer because he turns on that voice inflection, that deep bass voice. And you probably just got him. I mean, you've just mastered it right there.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what's made the difference. I don't know.
I think it's the voice. Nah,
it's the combination of the deep voice and the just the right kind of Southern drawl that you have.
That's right.
It's soothing and enforcing at the same time.
Well, what's funny is, you know, having a name like Pierce Mars, you know, is interesting in itself. And so when I call to make the appointment and they haven't seen me yet, you know, they're getting visions of Pierce Brosnan and James Bond and all this stuff. And then I show up and they go, oh, okay, well, you know, so the voice is the only thing I've got when I get there. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Jonathan froze, but you and I can still talk. So I noticed the other thing is like you've got, you've been married for 33 years. Is that right?
Well, actually, that's this year we just had our 35th wedding anniversary in November. So yeah, it's been a long time.
And then Gus and Jones, are they still around?
Gus is not. I guess I should have sent you an updated thing. We lost Gus to cancer a couple years ago, but Jones is still here. He's 3.5, and then he's got a new little brother named Doc Holliday. So yeah. So
also an English Mastiff still?
He is. And so we've got Doc and Jones, man. I should have brought them in here. They're probably waiting right outside.
I'm sure they are. I know we've got boxers, or a boxer.
Oh, yeah.
And we went through the same thing last year, lost one of our boxers. But yeah, it's tough. But anybody that loves dogs is is good for the show for me anyway. So
Tell you what, I listened to your show and I thought, you know what, these guys are having way too much fun, and and you guys like everything I like, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah. So Jonathan froze again. I saw him come back on. So we're going to keep going, Pierce, and then we'll let Jonathan figure out what he needs to figure out, whether he needs to dial back in. Oh, there he goes.
He'll be back.
And he'll be back. But so we'll start talking about our beverage. We're going to be talking about the Shark Tank, about your book, and those 7 questions. But one thing we like to do on the show here is we start talking about our beverages to kind of kick off the show. So did you bring a beverage on the show today?
Well, it's only 3:00 here, and I've got to do some driving after I'm done with this. So I chose not to bring it, but I have all the information that you want to know about my favorite beverage. And
what would be your go-to beverage if you were so inclined at the moment?
I'm guessing you're not going to be surprised, but I have tried. I'm 56 years old, and I've tried everything, and never did acquire a taste for beer, which didn't stop me, from being on the show. You guys didn't hold that against me, but I'm going to tell you, I've tried it all, and my go-to drink is Gentleman Jack.
Okay, I can respect that for sure. So you're going to Black Label.
Well, it's a
Black Label, right, on the Gentleman Jack.
It's Gentleman Jack is a special.
That's one level up or a couple levels up.
Yes, and you've got the standard Jack Daniels, and then this Gentleman Jack is doubled. I think it's doubled. I'm forgetting the terminology. Double aged, yes.
Yeah,
it's a very smooth. It is the smoothest whiskey I've ever drank, and it's got a little bit of a sweet taste. I have a little bit of a sweet palate, and I'll go try this, and I'll go try that. Somebody says you got to try this. I always come back to it. I buy the biggest bottle they have, and I keep it around. So
I've got a cabinet downstairs that's got my bourbon, whiskey, Scotch selection. So totally